Jeremy, you gavel us in?
What's that?
Want to gavel us in?
Oh,
Bam.
sure.
All right. Well, welcome. We're here for we're starting with the conference committee. Yeah. We usually do it with this end down, but whatever. Senate does things different over there. Yeah. We're starting with our budget conference committee. So you'll see the conferees here and our advisors on the side. We have our BRFA folks behind, and what we're going to do, David, is switch out, just take 5 minutes after we do budget to switch in our BRFA conferees. With that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess we just would start out. We're going to start out with the budget. There was a supplemental budget that came in earlier this week. And just for a little setting of the stage, as it stands, the Senate budget with the supplemental would have about 110 million fund balance. Your goal was 100. The House would have about 132 million after accounting for the supplemental. So you should have on your desk a thing that says Senate and House differences. It's a like landscape paper. That I'll walk through. It has each of the amendments that are in conference in the budget. Amendment number 1 is related to the Governor's Office of Children, the Enough Act funding. The House had reduced by 10 million and then added that 10 million back elsewhere for Enough Act related activities.
Yep, on item number 1, I think we're going with the House, Mr. Chair, but we did want to mention that there was $5 million sent down from the supplemental budget for Enough, which brings Enough back to 15 million. Of that 15 million, 5 would be for this tech hub, which then could be used for that hub. And if it wasn't used for it, it could be used then for the grants. And I think the Senate, and I'll let the chair chime in, was really happy that we also were able to find money for the 15 million for Enough, but also for LMBs, which I know has been a priority for you and the Senate.
It is. It was a good solution. So we'll accept that.
Accept that, and we will be accepting the 5 million that is in the supplemental.
Okay. Amendment number 2 is relates to school construction, and the House struck some language related to the school safety program, AI technologies. All right.
Correct.
Very good. Amendments 3 and 4 are kind of related. They relate to the Department of Planning and funding for the Maryland 250 program. The Senate had funded the program at 250,000 and added some language restricting 125,000 to go to counties and municipalities. The House had struck both the language and the funding.
Senate
version.
Senate for both.
Okay, West North Avenue, the House had cut 2.5 million of the 5 million for revitalization grants.
We just continue to hold this, Mr. Chair, but just going to hold that for now.
Amendment 6, Department of Assessments and Taxation. This sort of more expansive language than on the same topic about all the issues with the property assessments and the mailing of the letters. The House just had more expansive language than the Senate.
That's fine.
Okay, and the next page, Amendment 7 relates to DBM, Office of Personnel Services and Benefits. The House had added some language related to a 4-day work week. I think if in the pink packets that you have, page 1 is basically the same language, but making a narrative and changing the due date to June 1, 2025.
I think you're okay with the revised language?
That's fine.
Yeah. We'll adopt the revised language.
All right, amendments 8 and the next 2 items, both are parts of Amendment 8. They relate to the Department of Service and Civic Innovation. The House cut 5.5 million between those 2 items for the expansion of the program, still allowing it to roughly double.
I think we're going to split the difference on the cuts between on both programs. So think the civic and innovation cut was 5.5 and the other cut was 5.
Right.
I think that
It's
was-
5.5 is what you cut, so you're splitting the difference to be, you'd be restoring 2.75.
David, I thought the civic and innovation cut itself was 5.5.
That's what I thought too.
And then the other
one
cut
was
was
5, yeah.
and the other one was 5. So we'd restore 2 and restore 2.75. We can just check that.
We'll
That's
restore-
what we're gonna.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it.
thanks.
Motor Vehicles Administration Amendment 9 was some House language requesting a report examining the feasibility of covering the costs of an ignition program for certain people.
House.
Okay, Department of Natural Resources, so House report restricting some funding related, wanting a report on diversifying the Natural Resources Police.
House.
All right, Amendment 11 is in the Health Department. It's the Center for Firearm Violence Prevention and Intervention. The Senate cut 6 of the 10, the House cut 8 of the 10.
I think we're good with the House.
All right, also in the Health Department, this House had modified language related to pediatric cancer and just to make slight changes to what information was being requested.
House.
Okay. Amendment 13 is in the Health Department. Again, it's requesting a report on the recoupment of overpayments from prior years.
House.
Next page, Amendment 14, Maryland Community Health Resources Commission. The Senate had added language expressing intent about procurement of a referral and data reporting system platform. The House struck that, but then had some language in the BRFA related to the same concept.
We can hold that for now.
All right, also in the Community Health Resources Commission, the House cut $100 million for the Consortium on Coordinated Community Supports due to a timing issue.
Hold.
Department of Human Services, Amendment 16. It's just how much money to restrict pending a report on the new foster care rate system.
House is fine.
Amendments 17, the rest of that page and the first item on the next page all relate to the same issue in the Department of Human Services. The House cut 3.2 million of general funds and a matching federal funds for administrative costs for a food program that the administrative costs appeared to be over budgeted for.
Right.
And then there's language related to that.
Yep.
All good.
All right, so that takes you to next item, second item on page 4, Amendment 20, Department of Labor. There's really 2 things embedded here. The House cut $2 million for the Talent Innovation Program and cut $2.3 million for the EARN program. Both of these were enhancements in the budget. The $300,000 the House cut from EARN was then added back for a specific EARN program relating to
Yeah.
leasing agents.
Yeah, I think we were gonna cut the earn, but restore the talent innovation. So House on earn and Senate on talent innovation.
Thank you. All right, Amendment 21, Department of Public Safety. It was just a modification of some Senate language. The House just tweaked it a little bit.
I think that was House.
Okay. Department of Education, Amendment 22, the House had struck some Senate language related to comprehensive assessment program. We don't have it for you, but I understand there might be some narrative that will be agreed to instead of this.
Yeah, we can hold it for now. Sure.
Okay, Amendment 23, Department of Education, the House struck some Senate language related to the Frederick Douglass High School school-based health center.
House.
In MHAC, Amendment 24, the House struck language restricting funding pending a report on the student financial aid website.
We're okay with the Senate.
The next items 25 and then amendments 26 and 27 on the next page, all request reports from MHEC on the status of implementing the program approval work groups recommendations. The reports are 6, 9, and 12 months.
I'll go with the House.
Okay, Amendment 28 is related, amendments 28 and 29 relate to the Sellinger program. You had a difference in terms of the amount of cut.
Right. I think we're gonna
Split it.
cut it in half.
Very good. Amendment 30, Department of Commerce. So this is the preservation of cultural arts. You've combined to add about 900,000 or restrict 900,000 of funds for a specific grantees.
Right.
I think there's some
We
concern.
did five, we.
This
we
is
did
fiscal
550.
25.
We
Come
did
on.
550, right? Said it.
Yeah,
Oh.
you added 500,000 and then the House added 400,000 to get to the 900.
So we're gonna split it? Is that where we were?
Well, I think the issue is that the Department of Commerce thinks there's only about $600,000 available, even though the budget had assumed more. So I mean, one solution would be to cut everything by a third so that each project gets 1/3, 2/3 of what you had it in at.
I think that makes sense, but let's
Yeah.
just take another look at it.
Yep.
All right, Amendment 31 in the Department of Environment, that restricted some funding pending a report.
I think that was House.
Okay. All right, State Police, items 32 and 33, the House made slightly larger reductions to administrative costs, mainly related to vacancies.
It's fine.
Okay. Amendment 34 is this is section 19, making some reductions. So sections 19, 20, and 21 make some reductions in the back of the bill and then do adds in fiscal 24 and 25. The House accepted all of the Senate adds and then had some of its own adds. There's some additional language on the pink pages that kind of goes along with this. On page 2 of the pink pages, there's a new ad, 3.6 million in general funds in fiscal 25 for the Department of Budget and Management to enhance the health reimbursement accounts that are going to be available to certain retirees who will be shifting to Medicare Part D in calendar 25 to provide them with an extra $250 in their health reimbursement account.
Yeah, we've been talking through this. It's a good change.
Okay.
I'm good with that. And then on page 3 of the pink packet, there was also an issue with preservation of cultural arts in fiscal 24, where the General Assembly had identified projects that there's not enough money for. So you're adding 164,000 of general funds to fully fund all the grants that you had agreed to last year.
We'll adopt that.
Okay. So that takes care of through Amendment 36. Amendment 37 was some House language restricting funds pending a report on public pre-K and childcare providers, public and private pre-K and childcare providers.
I think that was House.
And then the last amendment is a technical amendment. We're going to need to make a slight change to, we think, so we probably would ask you to, adopt the House, but then there'd probably be a technical amendment.
Seems fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
So you've gone through everything in the budget. You've got a handful of things on hold, but you've made a lot of progress. Do you want to move on, take your break and then move
Yeah,
on to the
let's
Burford now?
let's just break for 5 to switch out conferees, if that's okay, and then we'll get right back at it. All right, we're back for the BRFA. Just have to turn our microphones on over there.
Thank you. Tanya Zimmerman is going to walk you through the BRFA document, which you should have on your desk as another landscape looking document.
So starting with item 1, this was a provision that eliminated the mandate for the Maryland Native Plants Program. And the Senate adopted the provision, the House struck the provision.
Save the plants.
All right, House position.
Item 2 is a provision that eliminates the mandate for the Consumer Protection Division in the Attorney General's office and authorizes special funds to be used to support the division. The Senate modified it to apply to only fiscal 2025. The House adopted the provision as introduced.
Need to hold this.
Okay.
Item 3 is related to the Interagency Commission on School Construction, the School Construction Revolving Loan Program. The Senate adopted the provision as introduced that eliminated the mandate, instead authorized funds in fiscal 2026 and 2027 through general funds or GO bonds. The House modified to instead repeal the program and transfer the 40 million of fund balance to the Blueprint Fund.
This certainly was seemed like a good idea when we did it. Unfortunately, it's not getting utilized, so we'll take your position.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Item 4 alters the allowable uses of the Blueprint funds for the coordinated community supports through CHRC. The Senate rejected, the House adopted the provision as introduced.
Hold.
Item 5 removes the prohibition on implementing a freeze and childcare scholarship program. The Senate modified that provision to require a 60-day notice before implementing the freeze.
This is
The House rejected the modification and the original provision, and also prohibited increasing co-payments above the level on January 1.
Yeah, I know this childcare program is something been very important to the House, but and including Chair Atterbury, but yep, and if you want to say anything, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, yeah, I just want to say childcare is incredibly important to the House and both the Ways and Means and Appropriation. So I hope we can reach an agreement and move forward on this.
I understand you might want to hold it for now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hold it. Look, it's very important, I think, to everybody. But making the program work is something that we're gonna make sure that we really have thought through. So let's just talk about it.
Keep talking.
Yep, keep talking.
Okay.
Item 7 is related to the Sellinger formula. Based on the action you took on the budget, you would want to modify this action and it would be a change in the state aid per FTES to 16.1%.
Yep,
That's fine.
Thank you.
Item 11, as introduced, reduced the mandate for the Mel Nolan Woodland Incentives and Fellowship Fund. The Senate adopted, the House struck the provision.
I think we're going to take the Senate position.
Item 23, advance the reduction in the highway user revenue distribution from fiscal 2028 to 2026. The Senate adopted, the House struck the provision.
There's another area, Mr. Chair, where I know it's important to all of us, but we need to have the revenue. We'd hope to adopt the House position, but I know we'll have to maybe hold it until we figure out the revenue side of it.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Item 24 eliminated the requirement for registration stickers on license plate. The Senate rejected, the House adopted the provision as introduced.
I think we're gonna need to hold this still. Had some additional conversation we need to talk.
Okay.
There was a provision that both the House and the Senate had agreed on that was in the BRFA is introduced. If you turn to the blue pages, page 1, This provision, as introduced, it would have changed the requirement for the purchase of zero emission buses to at least 25% beginning in fiscal 2025 instead of 100% of the buses, and made some other changes related to alternatives if they were not available. On this page, what this does is it keeps the requirement of all of the purchases, but delays it to 2027. It makes a slight change to the types of vehicles that can be purchased if the zero emission buses aren't available.
It's good.
Back on the tally sheet, item 32 authorizes a transfer from the dedicated purpose account to the general fund for a variety of different purposes. The Senate modified to strike the miscellaneous expenses and retain the rest of the transfers. The House concurred but made a technical amendment.
You guys are fine with the technical amendment, right? House.
Yeah,
We're on
in this piece here,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just the technical we added.
Yeah, that's fine.
On 102 DLS additional, this was a provision that you also had both agreed on that altered how the state aid per FTES is being calculated for the CADE, BCCC, and Selinger formulas. So both concurred with that. However, on page 2 and 3 of the blue pages, this makes a change to clarify how the graduate students would be counted as part of that.
I think we were in concert here that
Yep.
adopt blue pages.
So the rest of the items, except for the last item, were the provisions that the House adopted related to the transportation.
Yep, I mean, I think the chair and I have been talking.
Yep. And we're gonna keep working through it all. A lot to absorb and to think about and work on. We obviously, it's all a big priority. So we're gonna keep it going.
We'll continue discussions over the next day or two and put these on hold for now. Is that where you want to be?
Yeah, I think
Not
it's
ready to adopt any of them.
not yet.
Okay.
I think we're gonna try to do Monday.
Yeah, I think we'll be back Monday, which will allow sort of us to continue to talk in the meantime. We'll get you a time once we sort of get the conferee schedules together. But obviously the budget's almost done, so we'll just hopefully narrow it down to just our birth items.
That would be good.
Anything else, David?
No, I think you made good progress today, and we'll be here ready for Monday.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.